right. I think it's time to pretty things up a bit. I have the kind of the prototype running, but I want to lay out a PC board. So this is what I've come up with. Obviously, it just needs one of these fancy W room chips. I don't know how you say that, but W room chips. And previously, I had used a bunch of GPIOs to control all the motors and everything, but I want to have it a future upgradable extensible, right? And I want to have both SPI and I2C because I might have two displays, and one display might be SPI, one might be the I2C. And if you take a look at all the pins that are already used and the pins that are already slated for serial data and stuff, it eats up a lot of the ports. And then there are ports that are input only ports. These are input only. There's some that are kind of reserved for TXD and RXD. So there's a bunch of reserved pins. So I kind of got at a loss of having all the pins that I wanted. So I went ahead and used one of those I2C expanders to run the motors off of. So the 4 lines and then the 2 enables I'm going to bring to this chip so I can control those. And it's an 8-pin expander, so I went ahead and put on an extra just little thing for feature expansion, turn on and off a buzzer or a light or something. I have that down here on the IO7. And then I'm not using IO0 because it's an open drain FET, and I just don't want to deal with it. So it's just not being used for anything. So I just need to eat up 2 lines of I2C, and away I go. So now I have I2C and SPI. So now I have 2 connectors for that. And I might have, like I said, 2 front panel displays on the robot. So, and I can have one I2C and one SPI, something like that. I also thought of having expandability to the 5-volt world. And so I've gone ahead and built a section here that's a 5-volt I2C. And then I have level conversions here that I've put on the board for the 5 volts. So this connector here will be 5-volt 5-volt I2C. This will be 3.3 volt I2C, and this will be 3.3 volt SPI. So it's a pretty simple board. Let's take a look at the layout. And I put a couple extra little drivers here for LEDs and speakers and things. All right, so this is what the board's going to look like. It's a funny shape because that's what fits the robot. And so I'm going to put on the ESP32 over here. The motor driver is just going to sit on top, and I'll just wire it directly in. Instead of reproducing that circuit, you just wire it in. Everything is surface mount. This is the I2C expander. Yeah, so it's looking pretty good. Got some big filter caps here. So coming into the board is +8 and +5. And I showed that on the other video where the +8 is raw battery power. That's not exactly true. It's raw battery power into an 8-volt regulator. So it's a 8-volt regulated supply coming in here. And then I take that and I put it into a DC to DC converter to get a clean 5-volt. So I have clean 5 volts coming in and dirty 8 volts coming in. And so that's the way that's going to work. And then there's a regulator on the ESP that regulates you down to 3.3. And I put some bypassing on that as well. So there you go. So that's what the board's going to look like. Let's see what the 3D viewer says it looks like. Yeah, see, there you go. We got the I2C module over there. Thanks to whoever drew that up. I found it online and put it in my package. The ESP32 board's a little bit strange. It has no PC board. I don't know why the PC board is missing off of it, but all the parts are there, and they're just kind of floating in space, and they're in the right spot. So I guess I really don't need to go fix it. It just looks funky. And yeah, here we go. We have IMSAI dog over in the corner there. All right. So I need to send these off to PCBWay and have some boards made.
A few moments later.
All right, we got boards back. Thanks again to PCBWay. And these are a lovely red in color. Look how big they are. Yeah, look at this. We'll get one here. We got IMSAI dog, making sure the board's good. OmniBot brain. Yeah, this is the OmniBot brain, new brain. Nothing on the back side. So it's laid out to accept that motor controller and ESP32. So yeah, let's take a look at what it looks like loaded up. All right, here we go. We have the ESP. I have a couple things added here just for testing purposes. We have so we have the ESP32. It has a whole bunch of pins that you can't use, so I went ahead and put in an I2C expander for the motor, and there was one unused pin, so I put that out here to a FET, a driver, so it can control something with that. I got two other FETs over here, and I have a LED on one of them just for troubleshooting. I have two I2C ports, one 5-volt, one 3.3, and then a SPI. Now, those are reserved for the front panels that I'm going to put in at some later time. But I do have a little one here that I can plug on just for test purposes, and now we have a kind of a complete thing. So let's power this thing up. I've got some random code, not random, but some test code in it that we can play with. Let's see, this is this one. We'll power it up. So I don't think you didn't see that on camera here. Let me flip this down. So when I reset it, I get 3 flashes so that I know that it's starting up. And then if you look here, it will, I know that's super, super tiny, but it says OmniBot brain, and then it goes into idle mode. So, okay, so now it's in idle mode. We'll turn on the controller here, and the controller is now paired. So if I go forward, it says forward. As long as I hold the button down, the motor is running, and then when I let up, it goes back to idle. Left, right, and reverse. So it's talking to one another. It's talking to the I2C. It's not talking to the motor controller yet because I had to put in that extra chip and stuff. So I still need to write a little bit of code. And I need to figure out what I want to do with the front panel, what kind of graphics and stuff I want to do there and things. But I do have a new brain, so that has been great. I did put in a couple connectors. So this is a cable assembly that will go to the motors. This goes into the OmniBot, and this will go onto here for the 4 wires for the motors. I have a jumper cable on it now because it's meant to have 8 volts and 5 volts, and I only have 5 volts. So I've jumpered that across to 8 volts just to light the LED. Yeah, so that's what it is. It's looking good. I know it's an odd shape, right? So yeah, why is it an odd shape? All right, so here is OmniBot, and the board goes in here, and it does have to live down there. So it's going to go in here like this, like so, like that, and it will live right there. And it's a little bit tapered, so that's why I made the board the way it is. And yeah, so new brain for the old robot. It's looking good.